Coffee with Joe, 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 Joe. Hey, coffee with Joe, 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 Joe. Hey, coffee with Joe, 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 Joe. Hashtag keeping it real.
Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Joe. What are we talking about today, my friends? Youth mental health. And with us, we have a wonderful guest, Izzy, Isabel, and my wonderful, beautiful wife, Amanda. So we're going to jump right into it. Like I said, we're talking about mental health, youth mental health.
Yeah, and we have Izzy with us today, and she is a survivor of youth mental health. I say survivor because she battles it daily and survives it daily. So for that, I'm extremely proud. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm so happy for you to tell us your story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure to have you here,
Yes.
honestly, because
I'm so proud of you. That's a really tough thing. Last week was my episode, and it was tough. So don't be afraid to get right in there.
Absolutely. And like I said, what are we talking about? It's youth mental health. The fact that we have a youth with us that wants to speak about mental health, that wants to speak about her reality, right? The things that she goes through on a daily, and bringing you guys the awareness, bringing you in. That's it.
And I think the best way for you guys to get to know Izzy as we did is by her to read us her story.
Oh, absolutely.
It is raw, it is real, and it is the words are so heartfelt and mature. You know by listening to the story that only somebody who is dealing with these issues can come with such an amazing story. So if you'd like, can you read that for everyone? Okay.
Life can be so difficult, but don't let it get you down, because it can get better if you want it to. It does get better. When you feel down, always remember that you are not a mission, you are amazing, and don't let anything get you down. I know it's hard to get through this, but you will get through it. I will get through this. It's super difficult to get help sometimes, but you need to. I don't understand why it's so difficult to control my emotions. It will be hard, but nothing's impossible, not when it comes to your emotions. You're strong enough to take them on. If you need help with that, don't be ashamed. Everyone needs help once in a while, including the strongest people. I don't understand why it can be so difficult to get help. It's because it shouldn't be. You shouldn't have the stigma bearing down on you. It's not right. What if people blamed you? Were blamed for having cancer? You wouldn't blame them for that, but why is it with mental illnesses you blame us? I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. Why would you blame us and not the people with other diseases and mental illnesses? We didn't want this. We didn't wish this upon ourselves. Mental illness is sometimes worse than a physical illness because you can't see it. Doesn't seem like it, but I have ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder. You probably can't tell because I hide it well. And because not everyone with ADHD is restless, babbles, and switches topics every second. Those are stereotypes of that, and some of them are not true. It shouldn't hurt to speak out about mental illness. I know that it can be difficult, but keep fighting. The outcome is amazing when you defeat them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was honestly amazing. Like Amanda said, the message was sent to us from Izzy's mom and asking us to share that on our page, and we did. And I'll tell you, the response has been amazing. It's been viewed by almost 5,000 people. So honestly, it's amazing, like the impact that letter has and has had up to now, and it's going to continue, especially with you reading it on the show. You just touch on so many different things. The fact that mental health is something that we don't see, that people can't see. So it's very hard for people to relate with us, with yous. When you start talking about mental health, when you start talking about anxiety, when you start talking about ADD, ADHD, especially when we talk about ADD and ADHD, for us, I mean for me, I should speak for myself, when someone says ADD or ADHD, I'm thinking someone that is, going 100 miles an hour, that, you know what I mean? But it's not, like you said, that's not
It's
the
not
case.
always like that.
No, it's not always the case. So for you, are you able to talk to us about your ADD, your ADHD, your day-to-day?
Yeah. So how is it for you?
I find I'm very impulsive, and I can't stick to one thing for a long amount of time. I'm very restless, so I move around. I speak with my hands, but I've been doing that since I was very young, and I fidget because fidgeting also helps me with anxiety and calms me down, and then fidgeting helps me focus, so it really helps. And then I have a reality where some people with ADD and ADHD, they can take medication. I can't. I've tried, doesn't work.
Okay.
So I'm not able to, so mine goes uncontrolled day to day.
So how come you were unable to take medication?
I was unable to take medication because I got put on a stimulant for my ADD and my ADHD. And then for my anxiety, I got put on an SSRI. So I took Prozac and Concerta. I took them, and then, as people call it, I went into like a manic state where I was very weird and went off and did other things that, let's just say, a normal, like a mentally, like a neurotypical person would not do. I was very impulsive, very, very energetic, very euphoric, and then I did not sleep for 5 days. So.
Wow.
Which threw me into a psychosis or psychoses, and I can't remember most of it, but there's pockets where I did. So at that time, I was suicidal. I wanted to hurt myself. I told my mom.
Good for you.
And she said, you're going to go to the MHU, and I said, okay, Mom, I'm scared. So I got inputted to the pediatric mental health unit, and I stayed there for about a little over 36 hours, and I was discharged, and I got a lot of help. So when you're in there, for like kids and adults that are not mentally stable, that maybe are, and for youth that are thinking about suicide, you should go to your parents and you should tell them, I don't know what to do, this is what I'm thinking, and I don't know what to do about it. And then they'll figure out what to do. So when I got put in there, about the next day when I slept overnight there, the next day I saw a telepsych. So when you're inputted, they have a telepsych. You're immediately on the top of the list. So I was 10, 9, 10, around that age, and I got inputted. So that happened, and I saw the psychiatrist. They talked to us. My mom came, and I was discharged. So when you go in there, you get a safety plan. So when they think you're ready to, you get a safety plan. When they think you're ready, when the psychiatrist says you're ready, you can go, you get a plan and a safety plan. So they set up a safety plan, so like, for me, no knives around me. I couldn't touch knives. I couldn't do that, most of the stuff, like, I couldn't like cut vegetables for a bit because they thought that was one of my hazards. So that happened.
Recognizing.
Yeah.
Right.
They recognized the hazards, and they asked me, what are your hazards? And I told them that. And then they helped me. So every day for a couple hours, maybe about 4, I had this booklet about anxiety, and I had to fill it out. And then I got help, so I had to sign several documents, and they told me, so she said, this is for neofax, we can get you immediately admitted to neofax. So I signed it, which means that so I was under the age 12, so I could not say no. So I signed it, and I went to neofax and had counseling for about a year after that. And it really helps.
Yeah.
So if you are dealing with like suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies, and you have attempted it, you should go to someone. And yes, it's the most difficult thing you could ever do. Go to someone about suicide, and they will they will help you. They will get you things that will help you with that.
Help you cope.
help you cope, help you like out of that, and it'll help you like go back to, I'll say, normal, help you go back to your regular behavior, your regular thinking process. And it does, and counseling is one of the best things, I think. Psychotherapy is very good for that.
I
And
agree.
If you have like, say anxiety or ADHD, CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, where they change your thoughts into behaviors into feelings. So they try to train your brain to think more positively. I've been doing that. I went to group therapy. I've gone to see 4 psychiatrists, 1 psychologist. So I bounced back and forth. I've gone to 4 years of therapy. I had one-on-one for 3 years. I went to group counseling, and at school, I used to see the child and youth social worker at your school, and it really helped. And I learned more about what mental illness I have, and I learned and kept researching about that.
Yeah, that's really great. You sound like you did research and you did really want to know about what was going on with you.
Oh, yeah.
And that I'm really, 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 really proud of you for taking those steps. And first thing was to know that you had a problem, that you were sad and you did want to hurt yourself. And that's amazing to reach out to your mother. Like, that's one of the best things. Like, if anybody's having any trouble, reach out to someone. Hopefully it's your parents who can help you. If not, a friend, someone at school, a teacher, anybody, just get out there and tell someone, because here she is today. She is doing amazing things. To be able to be here and talk to everybody about this
My friends, she's making an impact. Honestly, Izzy, I can't imagine everything that you've gone through at such a young age, but the fact that you've had your support group, your parents, family members, friends, I'm sure school teachers that are supporting you, is an amazing thing. And there's so many people, and this is why we're doing this, is there are so many people out there, and youths, because this is an episode on youths, there are so many youths that can't turn to anybody. Honestly.
or scared to, or don't want to admit it, or are not in touch enough with their thoughts, or may be too deep down into a depression that they just keep it to themselves, see no other way out than the path that you were on. And I'm just thankful you reached out to your mom, because that's another thing. It ain't weak to speak.
No.
And to tell your mom was amazing. So when she said, I want to bring you to the MHU, were you scared?
Yes, I was scared because I didn't know what that was, and I didn't know what would happen. So,
And so how did you feel when you were in there? Did your fears, were they relieved? How did they treat you when you got in there? Do you think people who are scared to tell their parents or someone because they're scared to go to MHU, what are your thoughts for them? What would you tell them?
Well, you're treated very well there, and if you are like any of those things and you want to hurt yourself, and you have been, and you've tried it several times, or if you are thinking about that and you're too deep down to tell anyone, if you have to tell someone, because if you don't, it gets worse. Take it from me, I didn't tell anyone that for weeks, maybe about a month or 2. I sunk really far down until I thought that was the only way to get out. I can't get out any other way. I'm going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life. It does not. It gets better. I will say that another time. It does get better. Only if you want it to. So you have to push yourself to tell someone. You have to push yourself to get out there and make an effort to get help. And when you get help, it helps so much, and it'll help it go away. And with the MHU, the nurses are very kind in there. They're in the pediatric MHU for the youth and like children. There's 4 beds. We call them camp beds. There's 4 beds in there. there's night shift and day shift nurses. So they switch out at about 7 a.m. And they are very nice, they are very kind, and they do specialize in mental health and addiction. So it does help. And when you go in there, if you do, you will have to sign different things and different documents, which could be stressful to some people. But once you sign them, it's like you're free, and then it's a lot better than suffering on your own. It helps.
Absolutely.
Thank you for those thoughts.
No, yeah, for real. The other thing is, I know we say kids need to speak up and they need to rise up. And I'll say this, that a lot of kids do, but a lot of parents are oblivious, or I'll even say this, ignorant to the fact that their child might be suffering. This is the stigma that we're trying to put an end to, that we're trying to crush. The fact that Izzy is here speaking to us, telling us her experiences, her reality, what she's gone through, letting yous know, because at the end of the day, like we've said, it's not the number of views that we're going to get on an episode, it's the one person that we're going to reach. And if Izzy can reach one person, one youth, one adult to change their outlook on life and on mental health, then we all win.
Or even have them, take that step to tell someone, that right there is huge.
Yeah. If your kids are coming up, they're speaking up, they're telling you that, they don't feel right, there's something wrong and they don't know what it is, don't shrug it off. Don't say it's in your head or get over it, or there's too much of that going on. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're doing what we are doing. Yeah. To bring you guys that awareness, to let you guys know that it is real. Mental health is real, not just in us as adults, but as youths. I mean, Izzy's here, she's telling you her story. My friends, if you need help, again, step up, speak up, rise up, and don't be scared to talk. And that's for youths, that's for adults, that's for anybody. And if you need to go to the hospital, like Izzy said, the mental health unit, it'll be the best thing that you can do for your mental state of mind, especially if you're at that level that you want to hurt yourself, harm yourself, or even worse, right? Which is the unthinkable. Then yeah, you speak up and you let somebody know that I really need help. I really need help. And you know what? Somebody's going to step up and get you that help. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially like for you, you've got a great circle.
Happy that when you told your mom, she acted right away. It's just a really good thing to know that you have that support. So it makes it easier to talk to her, right? And sometimes, moms can really understand on a different level too, because we want nothing but the best for our kids. So to see you like that probably broke her heart at the same time, So of course she did anything she could for you, and the fact that you fought to come back is amazing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about like your anxiety and maybe your battles with it, or how you feel, anything like that? You can start with whatever makes you comfortable.
So my anxiety, I've been doing it since I was a little child, about like my whole life I've been battling anxiety, mm-hmm. battling that sense of doom, when there's a difference between nervousness and anxiousness. But when you have like an anxiety disorder, you might be anxious sometimes. Everyone gets anxious, everyone gets nervous, but with an anxiety disorder, it's over the line of normal, mm-hmm. and a disorder. It's thrown over that line, and with my anxiety, I'm always anxious normally. When I was little, I was always very anxious and very scared of everything, and very nervous and anxious every single day. Around grade 1, I started getting bullied. So I was bullied grade 1 to grade 2, so about 6 to about 6 or 7 or 8 years old. I was bullied from that age to that age. And it ruined me, truthfully.
Why did they bully you, though?
I don't know. I don't know if she bullied me.
So you were bullied because of your mental health?
No, I don't know why. She just picked on me and started like spreading all my secrets, like always humiliated me. And I used to come off the bus crying every day, saying, I don't like this. I don't want to go to school. And I became so anxious. I did not want to go outside because she was near where I am. So like lived around. And so I was picked on for about a year to around that, and it completely ruined me.
Yeah, bullying is definitely tough because they're picking on you and you're wondering like, see, because you didn't know, like, why me? What is it about me that you're picking on? Like, you just didn't understand. And sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes bullying behaviors are learned at home. And sometimes the person who is bullying is just that unhappy with themselves that they need to bring others down to make themselves feel better.
It's a reflection of themselves.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
And I'm happy. I'm really happy that it was only 1 to 2 years for you. There are kids who get bullied their entire lives. And I'm so glad that that wasn't that for you. But what it did to you is a bad thing. And, you know, my heart breaks for you for that. So it made you want to retreat, right? Inside.
It was the worst thing I've gone through, probably around that. It was one of the worst things. And when that happened, I did not want to do anything. I was nervous. I shot, so let's say this is lower, this is higher. I shot down really far, and I thought I couldn't get out. And then the things I used to say about myself were horrific. It wasn't my beauty, it was me as a person.
Your self-talk.
My personality, me as a human. I used to beat myself up like that, and it was not the best, it was the worst thing I could have done in that situation. My mom found out, and she sent me up for counseling, and I went for counseling for about 2 years for that. And it helped, but that memory of being bullied, there's always one day that I remember that is vivid. It's this one day I was on the bus, so I was like sitting next to her, of course. her sister and I were sitting next to each other on the bus. I accidentally hit her and she's like, oh my God, Izzy scratched me, and screamed it all over the bus. Everyone heard. I ran off the bus crying. It's etched in the back of my head.
Because you didn't do anything.
And then I just remember being bullied, and that feeling is terrible.
No child should ever feel this way, right? I say, unfortunately, it's a reality of life, and honestly, I wish I can say it gets better as we get older. But the bullying is still there. It's there in the workforce. It's there as, people think you say they're your friends and they're talking behind your back. So, I mean, that's the unfortunate part.
And if I could give you any advice going forward for that kind of bullying, or for like at work, those kind of environments, it is out there, it's just not everywhere. So if you are put in a situation and you see it, just remove yourself. That is one thing I did. Even with friends or even family, if they cause drama for you and they make you feel uneasy or unhappy, you need to, for your own health and sanity, to remove that person from your life so you can be better. And you know what? It is out there. It is everywhere. Whether you choose to put yourself in it or not will make your happiness. I suffer as well, and I choose not to be part of drama, of bullying others. An example, yesterday, we went to a paint night, and we were painting. There was like this lake, and this young girl, she was there, she was about your age, and the teacher's like, she wanted to add something in her water, and the teacher's like, well, what would you like to add in the water? What would look good in there? And the girl's like, me. Haha, just kidding. And then she said it again, me. And she's like, I'm just kidding. I'm like, no, really. I said, that confidence, good for you. You keep that confidence. If you feel that you would look good in that water, good for you. don't feel, I'm just kidding. It was awesome to hear that. And I needed to tell her that that was great. So self-confidence is key, is good, and know your worth. So if you are ever put into that situation, know that you are worth more than what that person is trying to do to you. So like I said, just try to get rid of them. Don't be friends with people who like drama, because oh, my goodness, girl, you know, you've already been through enough and you don't need more. So if you take on these I don't know, ways of life, and just get rid of the toxic people or the toxic situations, you can still make happiness in this world of, you know, good, bad, and the ugly. There is still good in it, and it's all in what you do. And I'm sure, you know, I know you can do it, and you will do it, because people who suffer, we are strong. We wake up every day and we do face the day, whether it's fake. Like you said, sometimes it's really, you act like you're okay and you might not be, and it's really tough, isn't it?
I've done that a lot.
It's so exhausting at the end of the day, or going somewhere and you have to put on a show that you're doing so amazing, and then you get home and you're just like, oh my goodness, you know, I'm exhausted now. But you know what, the fact that you wake up every day and you do it is just amazing, and that's all you can do.
I still feel like I put on a fake face. I put on a mask. Go to school, put on a mask, act like I'm all cheery and happy, but sometimes
Putting on different faces.
I've done that my whole life.
What I call that is the life we live and the life we let others see. Right? So the ones we let others see is the face and the act that we put on. And then the life we live is what we know is going on behind that face.
100%.
But I'm so happy to hear you talking out, because this is good to know that, you know, it happens to youth, and you can reach out and you can get help and you can keep going, working towards it. For us who have had it our whole life, it's not going to go away for us, but coping and continuing to learn how to cope is what you're going to do, and it's what you're going to continue to learn and do. And you know, there are going to be hard times, but as long as you keep pushing, you know, there is good, and surround yourself with good. And for me, I would absolutely love it if, you know, your mom and you and you know, your family could keep in touch with us, because I'm so into that. I'm so happy, you know. And I have a daughter as well. Her name is Haley, and she's 11, and she suffers from anxiety disorder as well. So I think, you know, having friends like that will just maybe help along the way, if that's something.
Well, that's why I say it's all about who you surround yourself with, right? The people that you surround yourself with. I can honestly say, you know, you're so young, you're brave.
Yeah.
I think you're talented as well. Smart. Very smart.
Just listening to this girl talk
very smart.
this morning. Oh my goodness, very smart.
One of the things I say in my podcasts when I go live is, you know, you can have all the friends you think you have, but at the end of the day, you only have a core amount of people, a few, very, very few. Like, I mean,
that are true.
You know, it's been 20 years since I've graduated high school, and I think I've got 3 really close friends from high school. So
I have 2 really close friends.
Right, and
awesome.
And that's usually the way it is. Like, even as we grow up as adults, and I can speaking for myself, is that you don't have 50 friends. You know, like, I mean, you might have 50 acquaintances, people that you know or that you've said hi to,
and that you're friendly with,
But as far as like real friends that will drop everything in an instant for you, it's far and few between. I love her attitude.
Exactly.
I love her attitude. She's like me.
She is very passionate about the healthcare, and not just for herself. She's passionate about the healthcare for all.
Yeah.
So, you know, for the IBI not being able to have funding for as long as they need it, you need to cut that back, because dollar beer is more important, right?
No, like she said, the dollar beer, for me, that doesn't make sense, you know. For those who like drinking, of course, I mean, it makes sense, and great kudos for them. But it does not help our society, does not help with mental health, with addiction, like Izzy said. The fact that Doug Ford, and I've had this conversation, I've had this on my live episodes as far as the cutback that he's made, yes, of $350 million a year. I'm going to read another statistic. So everything that I'm reading, I'm not pulling out my ass, friends.
No.
This is straight from, let me pull it.
Youth Mental Health Center.
Yeah,
Why
well,
Youth Mental Health Center. See, Izzy's got it.
yeah, Youth Mental Health
got it.
Canada.
Canada number.
Youth Mental Health Canada. So these are
Why?
like statistics that I just pulled yesterday. So if they've changed, I apologize. However, these are the statistics that
Yeah.
I've printed.
Give it to them.
And this one here, we're talking about you, Doug Ford, Mr. Ford. She won't even give you the respect to
I'm not
call you
giving you
Mr.
the respect. I'm not going to, because you don't deserve it.
So, and we're all entitled to our own opinions, right? And I strongly agree with her when, you know, like the fact that you have cut the mental health budget here in Ontario. Let me just read this statistic. Only 6% of the healthcare budget is spent on mental health. The actual figure should be 30%, my friends. 30%. To account for the number of people with these disabilities and illnesses. That's a 24% freaking shortfall. I'm going to say freaking because I have a youth with me. Freaking.
Good for you. I'm so proud of you too, babe. That was good.
For real. Listen, 24% shortfall. Give your head a shake, Doug. For real. If you want to have a conversation with me, I'll give you my cell number.
Not
I'll drop
right now.
it. I'll drop it in the comments and you give me a call. Because I'd love to have you on my show and hear what your side is as far as when it comes to this.
The reasoning behind it, right? The reasoning
Absolutely.
behind why, if we're already short and have a year wait time, are we cutting it? So imagine now, once these cuts come into play, so we're going from a year to what, maybe 2 now? And will people be strong enough to make it?
Now listen, there was a $1.8 billion deficit. Okay, in 2018, there was a shortfall of $1.8 billion in mental health. So what Doug Ford has done is, like Izzy said, Wynne, who was the premier before Doug Ford for the Liberals, had a different plan, which was a $2.5 billion funding that she was going to add into the mental health budget or the health care for the next 5 years, which would be $500 million over every year for the next 5 years. So what did Doug Ford do? He said, the hell with that, let's cut that out and let's make it $1.9 billion over the next 10 years. When I just said there was a $1.8 billion shortfall in 2018, but let's approve $1.9 billion for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't even cover the shortfall for 1 year.
No. Makes no sense. So for me, Doug, take your head out of your ass. Look around because a lot of us are suffering. And shit, maybe that's what the government wants. I'm just saying.
Ouch.
Keeping it real.
Ouch. Okay. All right, Izzy. Now that we're got you all wind up on that topic, what else would you like to tell everyone on, or even kids? Do you have any advice for them?
For kids?
Yeah.
Well, for kids, I will say this, it's not a statistic, but I find sometimes kids aren't listened to about that stuff. Because they're like, oh, it's all in your head, you're just lying, because kids, like, everyone thinks young children lie. It's true, kids lie, but you shouldn't lie about that stuff. And it's the thing where it's like, oh, these kids, it's all in your head. Or people saying, oh, you'll get over it.
These are the things that we were just
well,
talking about, right? It's
So if somebody is getting that, maybe try the next person. You know, if you're getting that from your parents, maybe try the school.
Yes.
You know, try a different outlet until someone listens to you because you are worth it.
yeah.
Just like Izzy was.
Absolutely. And then
She was worth it.
We're all
And
worth it.
so what is your plan going forward to continue to help yourself with your ADHD and your anxiety and your panics?
yeah, tell us about that.
What do you plan on doing for yourself?
So,
Or things that you're doing currently.
Yeah, what are you currently doing?
I-
What are you...
So the thing that I read, that story, I read it for Bella's talk at my school. I've had my friends come up to me and say, "Oh my God, I heard you," and then I don't think people like get the recognition that they need for having that and them being so brave. Because when you're put in that situation, I'll say it, there's one way out: to fight. Don't take the other way out.
Fight.
Fight. Keep fighting for what you.
Don't punch me in the face.
I will. Keep fighting.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting, see?
I love it. No, the other thing I wanted to say, that's one of the statistics here, guys, gals, sorry. Mental illness is the #1 disability affecting people in the world. So again, we talk about cutbacks. Why are we doing cutbacks to mental health when it is the #1 disability in the world?
And the thing is it does affect our youth,
It affects
which is
everybody.
our future. So we need to take care of our youth to protect our future.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: you don't learn about history. The future's gonna rewind. The future's gonna be affected by the past because it'll turn into the past. So we do not want. Back in the day, about maybe 100 years ago, mental illness was barely a thing. It's you're crazy. You get shipped off to like an insane asylum where it's not humane what they did. They tortured them. And kids with severe autism, like let's just say that my brother, he'd be put in one. People with like bipolar and like schizophrenia and DID and all of those
Because
severe mental disorders would be shipped in there because they are not okay for society. They are. You just need help with that.
Yeah.
yeah, and back then it was just the lack of resources, the lack of understanding, and the fact that we're 2019 and it's still like, I mean, it's a lot better.
We don't ship
It's
them
just
anywhere now. It's kind of
Yeah.
just either swept under the rug, and that's why we're trying to end the stigma.
yeah.
Or ridiculed.
Yeah.
People get ridiculed for having mental illnesses. People like with anxiety, some people are like, "Oh, stop being anxious. You're just faking it." Well,
Oh,
they're
Well,
not.
let me tell you something, my friends. People aren't faking it. It's real. Like as you said, yeah, there are people that might overplay it or lie, or yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, especially when it's youths, you need to take that stuff seriously. And I mean, even as an adult, if somebody's
There's a difference though. You will know
Yeah.
the true sufferers from the ones who are faking it. Or the ones who are trying to play on it as well, or maybe try to get the benefits or the timeouts or the breaks that the people who truly need it are getting. There's a difference. They're known. Not to worry. They're definitely known.
But never take the threat lightly, especially
No.
if a youth is talking about self-harm. That shit's real. And if it's a joke, let me tell you, they'll never want to joke about it again, because if you take them in, like Izzy's parents, I'm not feeling well, I'm scared, I'm, okay, we're going to take you to MHU, and which they did, and kudos to them. At the end of the day, she said it was the best thing that they could have done for her, right? She got the help that she needed. She got to talk to a psychiatrist. You know what I mean? She was bumped to the top of the list instead of going to Neofax or CMHA and just seeing a counselor, not a psychiatrist. She got the help that she needed.
Quicker.
Now, a lot quicker.
A lot quicker.
So that's why I say, if someone's gonna bullshit about it, if youths are you're gonna learn very fast, because you're gonna be put into a mental health institution,
Like-
mental health unit, for observation.
And then they'll know, right?
Yeah.
You went through you went through questions and counseling, and you'll know. Yeah.
Oh, they give you all the tools, right?
And then I am for youth mental health, so I want to spread awareness.
She wants to make an impact, my
So
friends.
I'm going to make an impact, and
You are making an impact. You're making an impact right now just by being here, speaking to all of them.
I want to make more of an impact. So I'm gonna start like writing different things, maybe like lives on like Facebook and Instagram, and start talking about youth mental health, and
Good
maybe a
for you.
podcast.
That's awesome.
I don't
Good for
know.
you.
That's awesome.
Good for you.
I listen.
Yeah.
High five on that one.
You'll be seeing that in the near future.
Yes.
Woohoo.
And I promote that. Anybody
Yeah.
that can, can jump on and talk about mental health,
And,
do it.
And that's where the peer comes in,
Yes.
right? Because, I may have people who may connect with me and maybe the youth do as well, but you know what? The youth to be able to have you to watch, to listen to what's going on with you and what has worked for you, that is so amazing. Good for you.
Absolutely.
And when she does come up with it, we will definitely, we'll send you that link to.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Haley's
gonna be starting with the
Oh,
podcast.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, like Izzy's saying.
On homelessness.
Yes, she is. Haley's going to be doing her thing on homelessness. Haley?
See, so the youth, like we were saying, and you were saying trying to, the circle or like 100 years ago was this way, it's going to be rewritten. So hopefully the youth have as much strength and determination as Izzy, as Haley, to come out and try to make a change for all the rest of you out there is amazing.
My friends, these are our future generation.
Yes.
These kids are the ones who are going to shape the world.
Yeah.
So
And
we
rewrite
want
our future.
And rewrite our future. So I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, maybe the two of you should just work together on, youth mental health and homelessness. Because it's always easier. Yeah, it's always easier to do it as a pair together. Like, the support I have from my wife. I know, I started the show by myself.
And he started it. I don't know if you guys know, but he started it. Kind of to end that stigma for me. Because. Do you think when he started this that I would have spoken to all of you about this? No way. What about you? Do you think when you were going through your battle, as you do every day, but your darkest time, did you think you'd be sitting here telling all the youth and all the people
Never.
today? No way.
Even just about a month ago, never thought.
No
Because
way.
I'm in a pit right now, but speaking out
But
about it helps.
you're getting out of it.
And
You're
I
here.
hope this helps, babe. I hope. She says she's in a pit. So, maybe she's having a difficult time right now. And just being able to do this is huge. It's huge, 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 huge.
Oh, it is huge.
And I hope it helps you climb out. I really do. So, since you talked about your pit, would you like to talk about it? Kind of like how you're feeling for those who may be in that pit right now? Tell us about your pit. We'd like to listen.
Absolutely.
See, last January to June, I was in a pit, as I call it, depression, where I was slowly reaching the top and then falling back down. And I was in that since till June. And then there was a reason behind it. That was it's personal.
Okay.
That's okay.
If you don't want to tell the reason, you
No,
don't have
no.
to. You can just refer to it as the reason.
As
If you're
the reason,
comfortable, you can. If you don't, if you're not, please don't.
Let's just say I was figuring out about myself, and I didn't know what was going on, and I thought there's something wrong with me for how I felt, and I hinted and told her
And told your mom.
I told Mom. That's okay.
Okay.
that I'm bisexual, which let's just say LGBT.
Mom's proud right now. The arms are up.
Plus teens and kids, it's very.
I wish the camera could go on mom right now.
She's
oh my
crying.
god.
And listen, and I'm gonna say it right now. Your sexuality is your sexuality, and there's
You're gonna make me cry.
There's no shame. Honestly,
There
no.
shouldn't be a shame.
These guys
No,
are all
there's not.
gonna make me
There's
cry.
not.
I'm already crying. So when so I used to be so confused. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'll say this for all people that are questioning themselves. Could be their gender identity, could be their sexuality. There's nothing wrong with you. You are amazing. You are perfect just the way you are. And here's a helping hand with what's going on. If you don't want to put a label on yourself, just call you you're you. You're not labeled by oh, I'm bisexual, I'm transgender, I'm non-binary. You label yourself as you. You do not have to tell anyone if you don't want to.
No.
I still find it difficult to come out to people because I'm scared.
What are you scared of? What is it that makes you scared that they...
People will judge me and people will think, wow, she's disgusting. Oh my God.
Or not want to be your friend or something
yeah,
like
or
that?
like, oh my, so I do not believe this, or like, homosexuality is a sin. I don't find it one, no.
No, you know what? And the fact that you're able to talk about it and be open and proud will help others who maybe are scared to come out and talk about it, because that's amazing. You know, good for you. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. If that's how you feel, then that is okay. Absolutely, that is okay. And
that's for anybody out there.
Yeah.
Your sexuality is your sexuality is your sexuality. And if people are judging you, fuck them. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Sorry. But honestly, it's one person's opinion or a handful of people's opinions. That's not the rest of the world. It's not the rest of society. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry. This is just
society
passion.
is changing, and it's so much more open now. Even from when we were kids, it wasn't accepted.
No.
Everybody was what they call in the closet, but now it's so much more open.
I was in the closet.
I just want to say a story myself, because we're talking about sexualities and your age, and I had someone reach out to me. This was a couple months ago, and I told you about it. Someone that I hung out with for, I don't know, 5-6 years of my childhood, and I was friends with him. I didn't realize that he considered me his best friend. I just knew that we were friends and that we hung out and this and that. Now, come grade 7 and grade 8, this is 12, Izzy's age, grade 7, grade 8. I say we start noticing because, we hung out as a group, and you think you have all these friends, and, really they're just your associates. But he was different. And when I say different, his sexuality was different. No. But back then, in the 90s, because I was born in the 80s, but I'm a 90s kid, it wasn't recognized. It wasn't something that we talked about. It wasn't, so now my friend was going through these changes, and I, as a young man, didn't understand, and distant myself. But I didn't just distant myself, because when we got to high school, I wanted to fit in with everybody else. And I ended up picking on him. I ended up hurting him physically. Not proud of it. Not at all. Live my life with this, and I've always had in the back of my head, I wondered how that individual was doing. To find out that they are now transgender, fully transgender. She has messaged me a couple of years ago, letting me know, hey, don't freak out. It's so and so. I now go by this. Oh, okay, cool. Nothing wrong with that, right? And then I had that deep conversation in a text, and that's when she made me aware that she considered me her best friend, his best friend at the time, which I had no idea. And I did these shitty ass things to this person. So for them to come out and say, I really, looked up to you, you were my best friend, and I forgive you for what you've done to me,
Did you apologize?
Oh yeah, it kills me. It kills me the fact that but the thing is I was young.
What if they're listening? What would you like to say?
Oh, that I'm sorry. I really am, Eric was his name before. I'm not going to give out her name now, but Eric, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. I should have never done the things that I've done. I should have never said the things that I said when I was, when we were kids. It comes down to the peer pressure, the wanting to fit in with the cool kids, and the disregards for you, your sexuality, and your emotions. So shame on me back then. However, I'm almost 40, and I can tell you that it wasn't right. I don't wish that on anybody. I can't imagine how he felt at the time, but I'm super sorry, my friend, and I'm happy that we have reconnected and that we have had this discussion, and I've apologized to her, and things as far as I know are good for her and between us. So it's just you never know what kind of
No.
impact you're gonna make on someone's life.
You don't, and it's
You
so
know?
sad because I worked with her and we worked with each other for a while, many months, and she's like, one day she's like, I want to tell you something, and I'm like, what? And she told me that she was gay, that she liked girls, and I said, okay, and I just went on as it was a normal thing, and she's like, you're okay with that? You still want to be my friend? I'm like, yeah, why not? Because unfortunately, I guess she did lose that friend in the way. And if you know what, and if coming out was going to make you lose friends, you didn't need those friends and they
Exactly.
weren't your friends to begin with. And those are just little bits of stories, and I would still continue to love to hear. I'm so sorry we kind of double tracked out of the hole you were in, and I would like to go back in it to hear about it.
So, back in January, that happened. In June, I finally came out to my mom, and I will say this one thing. Being in the closet is the worst feeling you can ever have because you feel like nobody loves you. You're stuck there. When you come out, big burden off your chest. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my sexuality. I'm proud of whatever the person that I am. I'm finally proud of it because for months on end, I was like, I can't be this. I'm like, no. I have had at least one friend just like look disgusted at me when I told them, and they're like, oh my God, you're so young. How are you like that? And she did not like that. She had the most disgusted look on her face, and that's one of those things that hurts so much. And I've told other friends, they did not care. They were like, oh. And then this one friend, it still brings me to tears. I was terrified to tell her because I thought she was never going to like me again because probably that bad experience with that other friend. I told her, and she's like, oh, that's good. You're not living your life in a lie. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Awesome.
And it brings me to tears because I'm like, wow, I never had a friend that ever did that.
And
never said that.
those are true friends. The one who are stuck by you, those are true friends. The ones who snuff their nose and had a disgusting look, that is not a friend, hun. And when the time ever comes that you ever, need to talk to someone, and if you choose that person, that would be the person that throw it back in your face later on. So that's someone you know right off the bat to kind of just keep as an acquaintance. Still be nice and respectful, but you don't have to bring them in close.
No.
Okay, but
Keep them at a distance.
continue.
And
Okay.
then now, since like November, I've been a little off, like a little down lately, and because stuff happened at my school. I have this one friend that she's not doing well, and then I have this other acquaintance. I'm not gonna mention their name. I'm not gonna mention what they did. I'll tell you off camera. I just can't on this camera because
Yeah,
it's very
that's okay.
confidential.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
They said that, and like they kept saying things, and it hurt me. And then come December, my great grandma got ill. December 23rd, she passed. So we were all there. I was there by her bedside, and then the 28th was the day that it was her funeral. And that whole day was the worst. And then just seeing her in her coffin was terrible because I went to the wake. And then all I remember is the coffin rolling by and out the door into the hearse, and I broke down because I'm like, she's gone, I can't say goodbye anymore. Because I almost missed my chance. I felt like I didn't say goodbye to her. And then the funeral was awful. I had to read a prayer because there was a Catholic funeral, so we read like readings from the Book of Wisdom and from like the Bible and that. So we did that, and then she had like the holy water. They put it in that container and sprayed it over the coffin. He like took away all her sins to help her, and then I think it was sage or something. It was like burning. The sage and was burning, and he wafted it around, and then they stood, and they were wheeling her coffin out, and I broke down again because I knew this is it. The hearse drove away. I broke down and cried. Just couldn't stop because it means she's on her way to the cemetery. She's gone, and of course, this is lucky. My bus passes that graveyard every single day. I see where she was buried. I still see it. And it hurts every day just to see it. And sometimes the day's just worse. And that like pushed me even farther into the pit. So I from that, I had these days where I'm terribly tired, and recently I haven't been wanting to do anything. It's getting a tiny bit better, but I'm still very far deep. And my friends, I'm having like drama, and
At your age, I think there's a lot of drama.
this isn't normal drama.
No?
No, absolutely not. I'll tell you off camera because I'm not mentioning it here.
No, absolutely.
Let's just say
That's
the
okay.
thing-
There's some things that are good for the camera, and there's some things that just need to stay off
This is
camera.
one of these things that I'm not going to tell anyone because those people could find out.
No, absolutely.
And they probably know I'm talking about them. Hi. And let's say I'm not mad, but it kind of hurt. So, hi.
And there's nothing wrong with letting them know how you feel,
Yeah.
right?
But
Because
I
how
can't let
can
them feel.
sometimes some people just don't understand, and how can they change if they don't know and if they don't acknowledge?
But I can't tell them how
No,
I
you
feel.
can't.
No, I can't because they will
Bully you?
Make it worse.
worse. It'll worsen the effects. I've told my friend I'm not your property, and she broke down and cried. And she cries.
Yeah,
And that is a lot of stuff to, take on from things that have started back in November to now. If I can try to give you one piece of advice for passing your grandma and where she was buried, just know that that's where her body was laid to rest. Her soul did not stay with her body. She is up in heaven, and she is watching all of you. Just if you miss her and things like that, you can go to the cemetery and sit there and talk to her. Her soul is not there, but she may be up there watching you, listening to you, and she'll be there in times when you need her. Just look for signs. You can even ask her for signs, and she will send those to you. As for your bus passing by every day, maybe instead of to try to help turn that negative thought around, say hi to her every day.
I do.
And that you miss her and you love her, and just try to make it a positive thing. Oh, I get to see my grandma today. I get to see my grandma this morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, grandma.
That's the
You
cognitive
get to say
behavior
good
right
morning,
there.
and you get to say good night to her.
And then, so I am Roman Catholic, so I do the sign of the cross at the graveyard, which is what I've been brought up doing since I was 6 or 7. And I do that right when she's there, right when we're driving by, I do the sign of the cross. So
And there's nothing wrong with that.
we see it as blessing the dead, so I do it right at her grave, and my great-grandpa's also buried there, but I never met him.
So they're reunited.
They're reunited. That's another
After 30
thing
years.
too.
Wow.
I seen a post and I think it's amazing. Like they're leaving us. Our loss is their reunion. And it's like so touching because we're sitting there crying that they left us, but they're probably crying that they're meeting everybody that they lost, And we will see them one day when our time has come, but until that we can just honor their memory and just talk to them as if they were there.
Truth. And the other thing I'm going to mention is, because I want to say this, is we're not doctors. Amanda and I aren't
No.
doctors.
Oh my gosh,
we're regular people, peer to peer, and we're just, we're
And
really
peer.
peer, like it doesn't matter what age, it's peer to peer. It's just bringing you the awareness, the realities that we live, that we deal with, that Izzy has dealt with. The other thing is, I'm going to read this, is the stigma or discrimination attached to mental illness presents a serious barrier, not only to diagnosis and treatment, but also to acceptance in the community, which is what we've been talking about, is the acceptance and not...
And making that change, breaking that barrier, ending the
Yeah.
stigma, making it not weak to speak.
I mean, this is a fact. I mean, you don't need to be a doctor to say this,
No.
okay? And if there's any doctors out there, counselors, whatever, and you have you have a problem with us talking about mental health, for me, that's ego. And you need to get your ego, put it back in check. And understand that we are not doctors. We're not
We
claiming
don't
to be
claim to
doctors.
be.
We're just bringing facts and awareness to the public, because we are tired of this. We're tired of people having to hide and having to curl up in a ball because
Still.
they're so scared to say how they're feeling, whether it's their sexuality, whether it's being bullied, whether it's
their
anything.
you know, anxiety or ADHD or anything.
Problems at
Do you
home,
know
whatever.
what? We don't have to be a doctor to bring our real life experience. Sometimes what we go through in life experience is more than you'll ever learn out of a book.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And I'm totally not against anybody who is a doctor, who is a
No.
psychiatrist, I am all for that. I use those routes as well, and I am all for it. And I love the ones who are open to this and who are thankful that we are trying to make a difference in our community as well. But like Joe said, for those who have an ego that think this is, what are you doing? You know, like I said, sometimes life experience is more than you can have than what you'll learn out of a textbook. And sometimes that's all that matters.
Especially for those who have never experienced a depression.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Or
Like,
anxiety, they'll never know.
Or it did.
so it's nice to have your
Yeah.
textbook, but
Unless you lived it, you'll not know 100%. So sometimes having a peer to speak to is all you need. You know, since my taping, I've had so many people reach out saying, listening to you was like you were telling my story. And I think that's going to happen a lot for Izzy as well. She's telling her story, but that might be many of you's story too.
Many, yeah.
Children, many younger than her, maybe even some older than her, who are exactly.
you want to know who it's going to make an impact? It's going to make an impact on adults that went through the same stuff that she's going through
Oh
right
my
now.
gosh, yes.
That are going to go, holy shit, I didn't speak up. I should have spoke up.
You know,
This is how I felt.
I wasn't there at 12 years old. I just did that in 2005.
Yeah, 21.
You know, I
22.
was 21 or 22 years old by the time I was able to even just acknowledge what was going on, let alone speak about it. So I'm extremely proud of you and for what you're doing and all the things you're able to do and help and the people that you're going to help. And I'm excited to hear or see any live videos or shows that you're going to do in the future, because just by doing this you're doing a lot, and I think you can do a lot and you will help end the stigma out
Absolutely. Before we wrap things up, did you want to say anything to the audience?
Okay, I'm just gonna go off one thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you, Doug Ford. I'm coming for you. And then be brave, because when you're dealing with this, you pushing yourself every single day, including even just to get out of bed. I've had to do that for a while. You are extremely brave for actually doing that, because you're braver than probably the average person. No offense to them.
Anybody who is the average person.
Yeah, no offense to them, but you are so brave.
taken.
And again, for youth that are struggling with finding themselves or their sexuality or gender identity, let's just say you're you. You are not labeled by that. Who cares if you're like bisexual or transgender or non-binary or gender fluid or gay or lesbian or any of those? You are still a person. You are not some evil thing. You
These-
are just a human.
Yeah. And these things do not define you.
No.
That's what people need to understand. Your sexuality and whatever you choose to like and not like does not define who you are as a human being.
Just like, you know, I'm happy you spoke about your ADHD as well, because it's like you said, it's not always what people think that it is, bouncing off the walls, this and that, yelling and screaming. It is, you know, it is what it is for each individual.
Yeah, it's different for every individual. You know what I mean?
And your anxiety as well. And, you know, anxiety comes hand in hand with depression, because it makes us pull into ourselves, and that's, you know.
And it also goes hand in hand with ADHD, because, so this for me, say I'm anxious, ADHD, I'm always forgetful. Sometimes I'm not, but when I'm anxious, I can't retain anything basically. I retain nothing. Anyone struggling with that, you are amazing, you are perfect, you just the way you are. And again, for people in the closet, you will find people that will support you. And sometimes you have to get rid of the people that will not support you. Your friends say you're not like heterosexual or cisgendered, which means the gender you fit in, which is what you're in your mind fits your how you were born. So say you're not cisgendered and you are any other gender or any other sexuality that's not heterosexual, and some heterosexual people feel like that. But if you're in the closet and you're any of those, you will find people that support you. And being in the closet, take it from my experience, is terrible. I did not like it because I was hiding my true identity and who I wanted to be in that. I think they put it in the closet because I think they used the term the closet because it's a box. You're stuck in this little box. Your true personality, your true self is stuck in this box, and that's your true personality stuck in this tiny little box, and your, I'll say it, not real identity. Again, what you said, your real life and the one you want people to see. Your real one you want people to see, the one is off making friends in that, but the one you are, your true personality is in that box, in the closet. And when you come out of the closet, again, I did come out as bisexual about back in January to my mom, my dad, and a couple of my friends, and that it made me proud. It made me happier because you're not stuck and your real personality is not in that box. And sometimes it's difficult to speak out. You don't have to tell anybody if you don't want to, but it feels good when you tell the one close person that you know you can trust. Being in the closet is not just telling people, it's telling yourself, accepting yourself for who you are. That took me months. I did not like who I was. I did not like how I felt about my sexuality. I did not like how I felt about liking the two genders or more genders than the opposite than males. And I felt like not being heterosexual, and I felt terrible about myself. But I finally learned about the term bisexual in terms about that, and people that I know who are gay and in the LGBT community, and it made me happy to know that I'm not alone in this struggle, and I learned some of their struggles, and I came out to my mom, and it helped so much. And for anyone struggling with self-identity, any of that, or struggling with mental health issues or mental illness, you're not alone in this fight. We're all gonna help you. You find people that support you, and you find a good support circle, and they will help you through this fight.
Absolutely.
You might not win the battle, but you will win the war.
Absolutely.
You want to say anything, or are you too emotional?
I'm good.
She's too emotional. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh.
Don't laugh, it's not funny. I'm
No.
just really, really, really proud of you. You know, it takes a lot to do what you've just done. And I'm just really proud of you.
No, it really does. And we need more people like Izzy to speak up, step up, rise up, right? Because honestly, it's not weak to speak, and never feel like it's weak to speak. Don't ever doubt yourself. The feelings you have are your feelings. They are real, and you shouldn't be shy to talk about them. And yes, it can be very difficult. However, like
I think
Izzy,
you did a great job.
yes, like Izzy said, it can also relieve a lot of weight off your shoulders
And a lot of anxiety,
and
right?
a lot of anxiety. I was getting to that.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, it relieves the pressure, relieves the anxiety. You feel like 1,000 pounds have been lifted off your shoulders. You finally feel like you get to live your true self. You know what I mean? So again, I can't imagine. Go ahead.
I'm going to say something.
Oh, with that, I want to thank Izzy for coming
Thank you
on
so
the
much
show.
for having
Thank you.
me.
Thank you so
Honestly,
much.
it's our pleasure to have you. You can come on anytime you want. I mean, Izzy touched on a few things: ADD, ADHD, general anxiety disorder, depression, coming out of the closet, like she said.
Doug Ford's terrible
We talked
fellow.
about Doug Ford. We talked about the lack of services, the budget that's been cut in Ontario, in our province, in Canada. And like she was talking about, the fact that she was able to come out on camera, let you know how she's feeling, her sexuality. That's another topic that we will be discussing, my friends, is people's sexualities, people transgender. So these are all, these are all things that we're going to be discussing. But again, I am super happy that you accepted to come on. You reached out with that awesome letter, that put me in tears, damn dust.
I have another one. I have another one. And dog hair kids. I have another one that I wrote.
Yeah. You have another one?
Yeah.
Is it for Doug Ford?
No.
Oh.
Maybe in closing we can share it. Do
Yeah.
you want to share it?
Let's
Sure,
see.
go ahead.
This is how we're going to close it out, my friends.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, Izzy's
Thank
good.
you for coming on.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
No
for
problem.
having me.
So Izzy is going to close the show out with her letter. This is a different letter that she read, so
Yes.
please listen up, my friends.
So this is one I kind of directed to myself because this time I was like, this was about a month ago. I was really depressed, really sad, and I couldn't get out for a bit. So I wrote this. Why can't I fight this feeling, the feeling of emptiness? I wish it would go away, but I got to keep fighting. We must fight the negative emotions and voices. I will shake this feeling of emptiness. I will. I still want to get through this, but it's getting too hard. But I gotta keep fighting for the feeling of happiness. I must fight. I must get through this. I can't let it take over me. There's too much stigma around mental health. I have to keep going no matter how hard it is. I must. You have to get through this. People are going to support you through this war. I want to feel happy and have great days again. I need to keep fighting for that. You will get through this. You might not win the battle, but you will win the war. Fight for your happiness. Fight your demons. It takes a while, but your happiness will come back and the negative feelings will disappear.